We're back with another episode of For the Record. This one's a special one. This one's one that we've been waiting for quite some time. I don't even know the countless amount of times.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute, man. This is long anticipated. So
long overdue, long anticipated, highly anticipated.
Yeah.
One of the conversations that I've been honestly wanting to have on the record, for the record. This person in particular is a friend to myself. A friend of the room, a friend of the show, somebody who is one of the very few people to start where he started from and get to where he is now, in particular, in the design space particularly, this being both digital, in terms of physical product, in terms of actually feeling a product, seeing it from idea inception to creation. A friend of mine, he's also somebody that I look up to in terms of the design world and the perspective of taking it upon yourself to actually go and start a brand and actually implementing different things into a brand that are different than others that are out there. Particularly, like, for example, with the mascot, as you can see here, just some of the items, I can't say that I've seen anybody that does anything like this in particular. But yeah, a good homie of mine as well, like I said. Shylow Stoops.
Hey man, I appreciate the intro. That was great. Thank you, man. I appreciate all the kind words.
Was that the Shylow Stoops? I guess you go by a couple different...
Yeah, I have multiple nicknames, honestly. My formal name, like Shyeem, that's like a name my mom and dad call me. Like, no one else be calling me that.
Yeah.
Other than that, my nicknames, Shy for short, Shylow Stoops. We have Stoops, Shylow by itself. It's a mixture of all of them, honestly. It's whatever it is.
And we got who? Stoopy here?
Yeah, we got Stoopy the mascot. You'll be seeing lots of him around, I'm sure. But
and if you haven't seen Stoopy, which I'm sure you probably have seen Stoopy somewhere, we'll get into who this is. Where honestly, it's 2023. I'm not even going to get into the conversation, but where they came from, and all of that. But I guess we'll start. As I like to start, with everybody that I talk to, like early beginnings in terms of, like where you came from, where you were born, where your family comes from, that whole...
Yeah, okay, 100%,
yeah. Tell me, for the people that don't know, because I'm sure a lot of people here are watching also and like know you already.
Yeah, I feel like no one knows like the whole like background, but either way, yeah, born and raised in Port Coquitlam. Yeah, I've been living here since I was like 4 or 5 years old. Before that, I was kind of in like Vancouver as well, but... Yeah, other than that, was going to school in Poco as well too. Like, my whole world is in Poco, man. Like,
bro, the boys, I swear, like everybody. When I started to like get to know some of the people in Poco, by proxy, everybody just knew you. They were like, oh, like everybody's rocking the hoodies. Yeah. Well before I think I even actually knew you. Like I saw people wearing the merch.
Yeah, exactly. And I had a brand before the Shylow Stoops one as well too. So then there's like. People knew that as well too, and then this kind of just branched after that whole thing as well.
Yeah, so I guess you grew up in the area.
Yeah.
How was your like upbringing in particular? Like,
I mean, I was like everyone that knows me knows I'm just like homebody, like quiet guy, honestly. But
Do you have any? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say just coming up, honestly, I was just like, coming up, I wasn't really thinking like entrepreneurial. I was just kind of thinking just like go to school, get good grades, like listen to mom and dad, get your 9 to 5, just do whatever. But I think it was towards like high schools when I kind of like all switched, and I feel like our generation's a lot different than like the past generations, honestly.
Yeah.
But I feel like we have a lot more opportunity in a sense of just like technology being around, just like easy to access information, stuff like that as well.
100%.
But after that is kind of when I was just like full on, I was like, I'm going to try and do this. Like, obviously, I'll have my 9 to 5 or whatever, but like, I really wanted to push the entrepreneurial side, I would say.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever asked this. Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I got a brother and sister, which no one really knows that I have a sister. Like, my brother is 4 years older than me, and my sister is a good amount older than me.
Okay.
I don't know her exact age, but yeah, she's...
What do they get into? Are they into like design at all? Is this anything that's like in the family, or this is far different? Hey,
yeah, my brother was into like he was into photography, but like as to like artistic side and just like creative, I would say I'm just like the first one to kind of like branch off from, I guess, the norm or whatever else you want to call it. So.
Yeah, if you can think back, are there like any early signs of like that maybe your parent, like if somebody was to ask your parents today, anything that they can say, oh yeah, we knew he was gonna get into that because he was.
I think they knew I was going to be into like the creative space, but I just didn't. I think they more looked at it as like a hobby. They didn't know like how far it could actually go, kind of thing. But I guess it's in a sense you just got to like prove them wrong and just stick to your gut and do what you can do. So
I feel like that's a common theme. You just got to prove them wrong.
Exactly, man. Exactly.
That's what's up. So yeah, like I guess high school or middle school, everything.
Yeah.
Were you into the creative space in that at that particular time, or was it like you said?
I did like kind of like drawing. I've been super on and off with that, and I was like big in middle school and high school, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I had like nothing to do with fashion. Like I didn't really care for it. It was just like it was what it was to me. I was skateboarding at the time as well too, and I think that's what really like turned me into like the whole graphics and then fashion and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's all a lifestyle. Like everything intermingles.
Yeah, exactly.
When did you start skating?
Probably like I want to say after like grade 6. Like I was kind of doing it before, but after grade 6 was when I started taking it like serious. I started going to the skate park a bunch. Like met a bunch of the boys. The guy who's filming this whole thing, I've been skating with him as well too, way back when. So yeah, I would say, like right in middle school.
What are some of the legendary parks in the area for people like?
Definitely Railside. Anyone that knows me knows that's my home park, man. Railside's
home park.
I'll ride and die for Railside, man. And anyone that says otherwise, then I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, facts. So, I guess how was it skating that kind of came into the picture first, or I figure it was skating. Yeah.
I would say skating is what really like if it wasn't for skating, I wouldn't have any of what I have right now, I would say, honestly. But just with skateboarding, there's always graphics on the boards that I always thought were super sick. I was like, how do people make that? The T-shirt graphics, not that they're like usually anything crazy, just like the logo or whatever, but same thing. I was just like, how do they do that? And that's, I guess that's what really like flipped the switch for me, I want to say, and just like seeing all the stickers, and that's like kind of what got me hyped up, I want to say, as a kid.
100%, yeah. So. Who are some of the early skaters that like, I guess at that time, because everybody that doesn't necessarily know anything about skates just gonna say Tony Hawk. I know that there are like a lot of other skaters in the space that actually put a stamp in like.
You want to say like local wise or?
Just anybody like, or who in particular growing up that you were looking up to?
I mean, obviously there's Nigel Hughes. I'm pretty sure a majority of people know him. He's been killing it since he was like 6 or 7 years old, or whatever the age was. But other than that, no one like in particular, to be honest. I was just kind of like skating more for fun. But in like this day and age, now that I'm like into it more, there's definitely people I look up to. I want to say like Tyshawn Jones, Kevin Bradley.
Yeah,
those are like top. Like, those are the guys I look up to the most, honestly.
That's what's up.
And then coming from like locals, like the people that got me more into it, Matthew the filmer.
Yeah.
Like a local skateboarder named Mickey Papa. He was also like one of the locals that made it into the U.S. and he made it big. There's a few names out there, honestly. So
what's up? Did because one thing I remember, because unfortunately I never skated, but I remember hearing about all these skaters that would then also go and like start their own brand, or start their own whether it's a skate brand or they started actually making boards or it was just apparel. A lot of skaters, they got endorsed by Sprites or the Cokes of the world or whatever, but they also then in turn develop their own product as well.
Which I think is smart personally. Like it's kudos to them. People might think it's the wrong move, but I feel like once you have a name for yourself, it's like you can almost make anything and it's like it's gonna pop, especially if it's in the space that you're like kind of like curated yourself into. So
yeah,
I think it's the right move, honestly. Just do your own thing. You don't have to go with the industry or whatever. Just
Why would anybody say it's the wrong move? Do they say like they just go compete, like just keep it at that? Like
no, they're just saying like they're bringing like too many brands into it, and they're like not as established and like X, Y, and Z. But it's like I would do the same thing if I was in that position.
Yeah.
Honestly, so.
Are there any skaters that like are known or that are criticized for like repping all types of like wearing a you know those fucking Super Bowl jackets that have like all those brands on them?
Yeah.
Is that like a thing in the skate community where like,
not
that
really.
dude's fucking chasing all these brands?
Yeah, not really. Not that I know of. Unless like, I don't know. Like, I'm sure the industry is a lot different when you like make it to the pro level. But from what I know, I'm pretty sure everyone just like rocks whatever they like. Obviously, they wear their sponsorships and rep them. But from what I know, I'm pretty sure it's like pretty open, honestly.
What so I guess good to hear or cool to hear your skate inspirations. Did you have any inspirations from like a design perspective at that particular point in your life, like when you were still coming up and you were just getting, first getting a feel into the world?
Yeah,
I know a lot of people say Virgil.
Virgil, 100%. Like I always had an eye on him, especially after working at Sneaker Box at Metrotown as well too. Just like
okay, fire.
Yeah, you see a lot of Off-White, and that's when it was like really, really popping as well too. So that's kind of like I started noticing that, and that's what kind of like got the ball rolling for me as well too.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, not really. Like there was a few kind of like solo designers. There was Warren Lotus. Mm-hmm. There was Donnie. I don't know how to say his last name, and I'm not gonna
we'll put it right here.
Yeah, Donnie. Yeah, exactly. There was Bandy the Pink. He was one that I really, really liked, and he had like his mascot character, and that was one that like really inspired me as well too. And then I would say those were like the three mains.
Yeah, for me, like even like I look back and like it's undeniable to say that Kanye didn't, or you can't even argue that Kanye didn't have an impact in like a lot of the design that we see today.
100%.
If you look at like from men to women across the board, like just looking at some of the color tones that brands, for example, like Aritzia or like Lululemon use today, like there's soft color tones that Kanye was implementing. Back
exactly.
Then. I don't know. I just feel like it's. You got to kind of give credit where it's due, but everybody kind of then curves it towards wherever they want to take it.
But I feel like even with his like futuristic approach that he was doing with like Yeezy and like his whole brand or whatever, it's like even though it's like it's kind of like it's rocky right now, but it's like you can see other brands are following exactly what he's doing. Honestly.
Yeah. The one thing I appreciate about some of these people that like I think for the Virgils, the Kanyes of the world was that they weren't afraid to kind of show what the creation process was behind some of like these clothing pieces and these items. Like I remember always seeing B-roll or seeing footage of Virgil working with different fabrics, things of those sorts.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was something that always kind of stuck to me, the fact that I'm like watching these people perform on a stage maybe, like from the perspective of Kanye, but you can still see them still in the back room, like cutting fabrics up or whatever it might be.
Yeah, just getting the whole thing done, the process.
Yeah, and the technical aspect of it was kind of what I always looked at. Talk about that. Like, do you have anything to say about kind of when you were first kind of getting the technical side of, or when that first kind of side of things started to come to you, like maybe when you were coming up? And by technical, I mean like, for example, figuring out, when I'm making... say a design on my computer, knowing the difference between a vector and like a regular file, things like that, like the very technical pieces where like you only really know it when you've been kind of picking it up for a while.
Yeah. Well, with my first brand, like this was before I went to graphic design school. Mm-hmm. This is when I kind of like you said, it's like you make a graphic and then you kind of like pick it up along the way. So it's like I had no idea how much work this was going to involve or nothing. I just thought like make a graphic and it'll be easy to get a t-shirt printed or whatever the situation.
Yeah.
But it's a lot more work than that, whether it's like coming up with like the actual quantity that you want to do, how much it's going to be wholesale, how much you want to do retail, the measurement of the graphics, how you're going to figure out the size of the graphics on the pieces, coming up with the graphic as a whole, making sure you have your CMYKs and your Pantones and like make sure it's ready for print. And there's a lot of technicals that go into it that a lot of people don't see the behind the scenes of all of that. So
when do you feel like you like started actually getting, did you just say that it wasn't until you actually started like creating your own brand, or did you at any point like go do research and like learn all that stuff before? And
I
then
did a
go?
bit of research, but it's like it'll never be like cookie cutter information with this kind of stuff. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's like you literally just have to jump into the fire and figure it out as you go, and that's when you'll kind of learn from your mistakes. And then,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because for me, like I remember just way back in the day, like pre-teens, printing out, even just like trying to print out my own posters, for example, and you're seeing it blurry as hell on the print, and it's like, okay, why the hell am I not seeing crispy edges? You're learning about DPI,
exactly.
things like that. It's
Yeah.
like you don't know until you bump your head a few times.
Exactly, 100%. It's like trial and error, honestly. That's all graphic design is, I would say. But yeah, going to school for 2 years definitely, like, that's what helped me, like, push everything that I have right now as well.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. And what about your, I guess, because when you're first starting out, I realize this when it comes to many different mediums. For example, when it comes to video, you have a decision. You can use iMovie or you can use Premiere.
Yeah.
When you're doing photo or when you're doing any type of graphic or digital graphics or whatever it might be, you have a choice in terms of like what programs you want to use.
Yeah, 100%.
Which ones did you kind of start off with, and like which ones are you using now? Are like the same ones that you used back then, or?
I started out with GIMP, which some people might know, some people might not know, but it's, you can create these vector files if everyone knows what that is. But yeah, you make these vector files and it'll kind of be like ready for print or whatever.
I'm really happy you said GIMP.
Yeah,
I was gonna say
GIMP is nice, but it's coming up with the actual graphic compared to like Adobe Illustrator. Now that I've like can compare the two, there's a large difference in like time and just like making the graphic like more clean and just like everything like that as well.
100%. Like for example, like GIMP. I'm glad you said GIMP because that was like on my list of ones that I first started using. Paint.net. I don't know if you've ever heard of Paint.net.
There's like Canva as well too is another one of them. But
I don't know if you've ever heard of Photoscape. This was one that like a random one that I found that.
No, I haven't heard of a lot of them honestly. It was just like in the crunch of time that was just like I need something to use, and it's just like that's when I did the research and I was like, whatever worked.
And the thing that exactly whatever worked. Like, I started realizing that like I learned how to do this on this program, and you could probably do the same thing on that program, but like my brain knows how to do it here, so I just start switching.
It's like learning it in the new space is going to be like the tough part, I would say.
Yeah.
But most tools that they have on there is like Adobe Illustrator is going to have for the most part. So it's like once you transfer, it's like there'll still be like tools you'll recognize. So.
Yeah. That's for me right now. I'm having to kind of break free of some of those like
100%.
bad habits. Like you can do all that stuff in Photoshop. You don't need to do it in Photoscape and then Paint.net and then send it to Photoshop. Honestly, I feel like I'm making my job harder for myself. But for anybody that is honestly starting off, I know that even just being able to afford some of these programs is just maybe not always viable in every
100%,
case.
100%. That's another thing.
But I hear people all the time saying, I wish I was a better editor, or I wish my motion graphics, there are ways to become better. There are ways to start off with the free programs that just get you in the game, get your foot in the door.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you can
100%.
of course then later on go on, and maybe once you've done a gig for somebody for $200 or you've done a couple of those, then you're able to buy the program.
Exactly. That's the whole thing. And it's like this also isn't something you got to like go to school for or whatever. It's like graphic design I could have did solo. Video editing you can do solo, but it's just a fact of, I guess, getting that piece of paper and just like, it was kind of like a head start for me, honestly. Because if I was to do it solo, I would not have everything that I have right now. I wouldn't be working for Bird probably, and so it's like, it also creates opportunity.
I guess this is kind of one of the last topics on this particular that I wanted to talk about. There's been like a sudden boom with AI and how AI works in the industry. I don't know if you've heard of OpenAI and how DALL-E was something that came into the game, and
I think I might have heard of DALL-E, but I'm not sure exactly the whole aspect behind it.
You might have just heard like the concept of it, where it's basically an AI that's creating an image that didn't exist once before. There was one where I think it made up this gothic party. Where it was a picture of like it appeared like a 1970s gothic party. Where these people were dressed up in, wigs or whatever it was.
It like takes the original photo and then like switches it into like a new one.
It tries to create a photo out of something that like this photo never existed before, but like you literally type in "make me" or "show me a photo of this, that, and that." and like it takes maybe references and creates something.
Yeah, okay.
People were saying that it was very spooky how real this photo looked, and maybe I'll show you later. You can probably see it on the screen now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was going into how AI is just creating images out of nothing. And I have heard like artists now starting to be concerned because they feel like their art is the art that this AI is creating is referenced off of, say, for example, if I type in "show me a mascot," that AI might be grabbing a reference off of Stoopy.
Yeah, 100%, which is it's true, honestly.
So then it's like, hey, why don't I get paid?
Because 100%. Yeah, I feel like artists are kind of like, I guess they're feeling like they're like losing control over their art, and it's like they're not getting like royalties behind it, which that they definitely should, in my opinion. But yeah, I think AI is definitely like, this is like as crazy as it's been right now. I would say technology is like as advanced as it's ever been in its life. But
have you ever used AI or like, I don't know, if ChatGPT?
Yeah, none of that, honestly. I'm into like NFTs and like that whole space, but like once it goes like a level past that, when it's like the AR, like artificial reality, whatever they want to call it, that's like too much for me, honestly, as of right now. But yeah, NFTs I love, and then there's other little aspects of like AI which I'm into as well, which is definitely changing the design world, changing the fashion world, changing artist world. So it's
I know that metaverse, like the conversations in metaverse, took like a hit, especially like with the end of last year. But I still feel like it's one of those early adopter things where it's gonna go through cycles. People are gonna say, "Oh, I lost so much money in this," or this died off, and then maybe in a couple of years it'll have a new resurgence.
100%, man. It's like, all I can say is history repeats itself, man. Like it's proven. You can look at it. It's there. It's like once everything's kind of like in the gutter, that's when there's going to be all these like FUD stories that come out, like bad news, like all that as well. But if you can live past that and you want to buy or whatever the situation is, like, it could work out in your favor. It's just like if you just want to take that risk or not. But
true to that. I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think that AI will replace artists or replace people's ability to, still make a livelihood off of like creating art and things like that. I think that it's one of those mediums where it involves so much of a human touch or
I agree. And it's like based off like personality and like style, and there's like there's a lot of other stuff that's involved with it too. Yeah,
and I'll once again put that picture up of the gothic thing that I showed, that I was talking to you about. Then they started actually calling out the fact that this AI couldn't properly draw fingers, and like everybody's fingers look messed up, and I guess it doesn't have the ability to actually go that fine into detail.
100%,
So it's not drawing out like 5 fingers. You might see 4 on a hand, and it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. I think in our generation, we're not going to see AI take over. Like, I feel like we'll see it replace jobs, like some jobs, which it already is kind of, but I feel like, I don't know. I don't want to see like iRobot type of movie situation.
For real. Man, so I guess I wanted to then curve into the conversation of when you were then starting to maybe make your dream a little bit more of a reality, or your goals in a reality, in terms of when you started actually developing clothing and making designs or digital designs, actually physical items. And we spoke about this a little bit earlier in terms of the fact that some people maybe only have knowledge in that digital space where they're, creating digital art, maybe that's the world they're in, or in turn other people that are only involved in the space of creating physical products. Maybe it's brick and mortar, maybe it's I don't know, whatever it might be, but they're only kind of in the space of, printing a t-shirt and shipping it out.
It's definitely like 2 separate jobs, I want to say, and just like, a lot of different technicals that come into play, I want to say as well. But with the whole like apparel side of things, I want to say like the back end side is, there's a lot of technicals, as in just like, first off, coming up with a mock-up or just like having a t-shirt mock-up or whatever that looks like, I guess, presentable to the printer. Having the graphic is another thing, being able to print or create that, having the Pantone colors and making sure that's ready for print as well too. And then I would say the front side is when it comes to more like the material of it and like the quality, I want to say. That's when it comes to the measurement as well too, of like how big it's going to be. But the correlation between the two, it's tough, honestly, I want to say.
More so with your stuff in particular. How involved are you in each one of these things? Like, are you hands-on in everything, or do you relay some of that onto other people?
No, I'm one-man show, honestly. One-man show as of right now. That. So, yeah, I'm stoked with what I've been able to push out as of right now. But then obviously there's those times where you can't just keep being like go, 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 go. You gotta you gotta focus on yourself too, make sure you're all good, and then just whenever the next piece comes or whatever comes, it comes. But yeah, it's always in the back of my head, just what to do next, and just next pieces. So
yeah, I saw is her name Jessica?
Yeah, Jessica.
I saw that you guys do some work together. Is that you guys working on your own brand but together?
Yeah, exactly. So she has her own brand as well too, called Hell Dog. We have the plushie back there as well too that we collabed on, but. Yeah, she was someone that I was really stoked to work with, honestly, because she was someone that I looked up to. As just her being an artist, and then started doing her apparel, and then I seen she made a plushie. I had this one at the time as well too, and then I was just why don't we just collab on it and just kind of join it? And
that's fire. Yeah,
so we finally dropped it. We got the packaging all done. It's on our website. So yeah, that was one I was really hyped on, honestly.
That's neat. And honestly, just looking at it, this is something that you're not just buying off of your mom's friend. This is something that it looks like you purchased this from a department store.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this one was definitely a process, honestly. My bucket, one of my bucket lists for the brand was to create a plushie, since I had this mascot as well too. I felt like I had to.
Yeah,
but
and honestly, it's like I said, once again, it's a high quality. I'm looking at this thing man, how I wouldn't even know where to start with getting something like this made.
Yeah, that was my whole thing as well too. I was I have no idea where to even start. But again, it's just the whole thing is just starting. And
just starting. 100%. And I think that's maybe where a lot of people kind of get stuck and maybe scared, or maybe that's where the process stops.
Yeah, 100%.
Just starting, getting contacts. For us, it was, okay, if we don't necessarily know anybody overseas that can get us great quality at a maybe cheaper rate, let's pay the cost and get it made here.
Yeah, exactly.
Just see if we can build the network out. And
100%.
It's just involves starting. That's really all it is.
Exactly.
So I fuck with that. The theme, there's a apparent theme that just looking at all your items that it follows. You see the mascot. It's the purple color tones.
Yeah.
How was your mindset in terms of deciding that?
Purple's always been one of my favorite colors, honestly. So I was honestly just that decision there. And I know purple by itself also just it also means being unique and just more creative and just stuff like that as well too.
Yeah.
And I feel this brand doesn't represent anything else but myself. It's I kind of just branded myself based off my nickname, honestly.
That's fire.
And then every piece that I have is just kind of speaking on the things I guess I believe in and what I want to push, and just stuff like that as well.
And there's a very strong message, bro. It follows a very positive messaging in terms of even the daily posts that you see from on your Instagram, the
national days,
the national day, exactly, and you see that, and there's an apparent a positive outlook that this brand as a whole has, and not every brand goes as far as actually making sure that there are people that are investing themselves into it.
Yeah, exactly.
Feel it even after they've purchased the items, or even if you haven't purchased the items.
100%. I just feel there's a lot of I don't want to say dark brands. There is dark brands out there, but there's nothing that's kind of pushing a good message, and especially with everything that's going on today as well too. But I feel my whole thing is just pushing good vibes, positivity, fucking peace, just all of that, man, literally.
Was that an important part of also including a mascot? Because I know sports teams have a mascot.
Yeah.
Maybe that's for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. So my whole thing with the mascot, again, Vandy the Pink was another big inspiration for me. But I felt instead of having me kind of present the brand, I'd rather have the mascot. So I kind of had Kirby in mind, and just a couple of these other Nintendo characters or whatever.
That's fire.
But I just thought that was one of the best ways, especially to interact with customers as well too. And it's you're more falling in love with the character and the brand rather than it's Shylow Stoops, or it's if you know who he is, then cool. That's all I would do. But these are the main two, is just the mascot itself, and then the pieces I push out, the message that I push out.
Yeah. And I think that's very interesting, because a lot of people might even take that front role and say, I'm the person that you should think of when you think of this brand.
Yeah.
And you kind of went the other direction and said, no, it's not really about me.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
designing it. It's realistically it is about you, but
Yeah.
you're not the front face.
Exactly. So it's like the mascot's pretty much like an extension of me, I want to say. So
100%.
that's how I look at it.
100%. Quality assurance. I wanted to actually talk about, because we spoke about this outside in terms of how the different approaches that you can take. And you mentioned a few times the approach that you've taken in terms of just getting started, just putting something out there, and then worrying about bettering the iterations afterwards. For us in particular, we've battled when it comes to Labyrinth. We've battled in terms of whether we should drop something, and then we decide to go back into the warehouse and try to figure out a better way to do it, or a higher quality, or our standard maybe is a little bit higher, so we want to rework it. How does your quality assurance, because I guess maybe it's a little bit easier because you're just one person, you're not four people trying to decide what the best move is.
Yeah, it is,
But how does your quality assurance work? Like, how do you know that you're increasing the quality of your product over time?
I would say for me personally, just like, again, working at Sneaker Box, I've seen like a lot of like high fashion come through there, a lot of like high quality garments. So comparing that with the stuff that I have to like other people, for example, like Warren Lotus, Donnie, like they all have streetwear pieces as well too. So I'm kind of like, I guess comparing it to them in a sense. But then, as to when it comes to like actually checking the quality, it's just a one-man show pretty much, just me doing it myself. Yeah, that's literally what it is.
So that's good. So you've like seen, high fashion, particularly say even down to packaging, how some of these things are presented to clients.
Yeah, and then like tags as well too is another thing, like neck labels, like care labels. Like again, this is all stuff I wasn't really thinking of like before the whole process, but then once it comes into play, it's like, you can't have without it. So.
The details that matter.
Yeah, exactly.
I like how you talked about how, because I feel like I'm like you.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get pushback from the team about it sometimes.
Yeah.
But in terms of like even not necessarily comparing yourself to other people, but like a healthy taking a look at the field from a bird's eye view and saying, okay, this person's doing that person's doing this. How can I differentiate myself and still compete?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I feel like some people sometimes take it incorrectly and they say like don't compare yourself, like just
exactly. It's like
keep your head straight, but I feel like it's healthy.
There's a wrong and good way to go about it. Like when you're comparing yourself, saying like, oh, like I need to be better than this guy and X, Y, and Z. It's like you don't got to go like to that extent. I want to say, but when it comes to like quality and graphics, it's like I guess in a sense that's where I more look at it as like comparing, but. It also just depends on the brand. Some people can just have like a simple logo and like that's them. They're just like simple as more type of thing. But some people like more loud graphics like myself. But everyone has their own direction. You could have like small graphic and make it huge. You could have big graphics, make it huge. So it really just depends, I want to say.
Yeah. I want to also know, I guess maybe this is like my own personal question. And I want to know particularly even say with these in particular. I don't know if we'll have a photo of these as well, but they're what's the name of these?
I call those the Globe Runners. I was stuck on the name for a while, but I felt like with the mascot itself, like Stoopy, and then, I felt like Globe Runners was like one of the first names that came into my head, and I was like, I came up with some other options, but Globe Runners was the one that just like really stuck with me, honestly.
That's fire. That's fire. This is an incredible shoe. I want to know how something like this is made in terms of, I know very clearly how hard it is to, or maybe not how hard, it can be hard, it can be maybe a little bit not as difficult, but fulfillment, when somebody orders something in terms of getting it to their door.
100%.
That whole process, like whatever that entails.
Yeah, it's definitely a process, especially when you want to go like the pre-order route as well too, which is the route that I decided to go just because I'm not at the point where I can order like 100 different shoes and be sitting on a few or whatever. It's just like I'd rather just get a pre-order. Whoever wants a shoe, everyone gets one.
Right.
But getting it, from design to production to doors, it's a long process. It's definitely like it's tough, man. It's tough. But my whole thing is like I usually come up with the design first. So I made the shoe design, sent it off to the manufacturer, and then I was getting the sample in first.
Do you work back and forth with them?
Oh yeah, back and forth. It's they're in China, so it's like usually at nighttime when like they're online is like, when it's our nighttime is like when they're working in the morning. So it's like I'm talking to them like late at night trying to make sure it's all right. And it's like 1 or 2 in the morning sometimes, but either way, it's a lot of back and forth. It usually takes, for the shoes, it took probably like almost a year to like fully get it right, honestly.
Right. And even down to the shoe box, like you said, like working at Sneaker Box, you're definitely looking at all the different ways that people are made. See, like I'm saying,
it's boxes as well.
People don't look this deep
exactly.
Unless you're Nike or unless you're Adidas.
100%. And my thing was like I just didn't want like a regular shoe box. I wanted something a bit like more presentable and something I can get like more graphics on there and stuff like that as well. So
for sure,
that's why I went with that. But
and this is heat, bro. Congratulations, by the way.
Man. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I had conversations with people about how I was waiting on some people to clear a check.
Yeah.
So I could buy those at the time, but I don't know if it's going to require, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't got to talk about it on camera here, but either the next shoe or I'm going to find, somehow I'm going to get a pair.
There'll be stuff in the works. So there'll be some stuff coming.
Bro,
so there'll be stuff
let me know. I'll write the check.
I'll definitely let you know. But that was like definitely a milestone of mine, like a childhood dream of mine as well too, just to be able to make my own shoe. And then seeing all these other people do it as well too, kind of like these solo designers, I was like, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
And some people might say it's like bootleg to like, it's like the Air Jordan 1 silhouette or whatever. But for me personally, I'm just doing it for fun. Like I'm just doing it to like I said, my childhood dream.
Yeah.
Whoever wants to rock it can rock it. And if I do get to that point where it's like I have a lot of like followers and like a lot of sales, whatever, then at that point, I'll just make a new silhouette and then,
Exactly.
So I always not getting like tangled with, I know Nike's attacking all these people nowadays.
Bro, I was just about to say, we could talk about Babe if you want to.
Yeah, 100%, man. I know it's like, I feel like once people are making good money off these silhouettes, that's when Nike's just like, they're coming at you.
And that's exactly what they did. They waited for Babe to get to where they were.
Yeah.
That company was, 1990?
Yeah, they've been around for like a hot minute.
They've been around for a minute, and Nike waited until 2022, 2023 to be like, you guys have generated mass amount of profits off of our products.
Exactly.
Now we're coming for you. After not doing anything for that.
But I think it's because, don't quote me on this, I don't know if their patent for the shoe silhouette was like, I don't know if it was like still active or not, but I know they repatented it for the Jordan 1, the Dunks as well too, and then right after that is when they just started cracking on everybody, and it was game over for everyone after that.
These people got state-of-the-art law teams, man, I swear.
Exactly.
So we're lucky enough to be shooting this at the lovely Burb. Thanks very much to the people, our lovely friends at Burb, for allowing us to be in your wonderful space here.
The stomping grounds.
Yeah. Tell us about how you got started with Burb.
I got started with Burb
because I figure it's worth noting I had just finished cutting the Hakeem Crixie, the last For the Record interview, where he talks about a young Shylow walking in with a resume. Describe how you first kind of actually met him. And
Shylow?
Yeah,
Shylow from the Burb days.
Yeah.
I just remember this guy coming in with his resume.
Yeah.
try to get a job here. I'm like, bro, there can only be one. Like, there can only be one. You can't work here, bro. No, I'm joking. I never said that to him, but
I was gonna leave it there and let you continue that story.
I remember that day like it was yesterday too, man. But first off, okay. Well, I'll start off with my brother knew someone who was working here at the time, and then he was the one who essentially, I guess, not really got me the interview, but he's just like, go give your resume in. I'm like, I'm sure you'll get some. I was like, cool. So I came in, literally, right behind me here, walked in, and I seen, Crixie was working, and then I forget who else was working, but I remember Crixie for sure. And I was like, word. I was like, I can get used to this. I was like, it's one of my guys right here. I
think he might have even said, yo, there's only one of us
Yeah,
allowed.
this guy, man. He'd always be saying that. But either way, I came in, he was working. I'm pretty sure he was the one that took my resume. And then, he handed off to whoever. I had the interview, and I think he was there, just watching or doing whatever as well, too. And then, after that, I ended up getting hired. I forget, how long in between, how quick the span was or whatever, but either way, I started working as a bud tender, so I started working on the floor, and then, I really wanted to get onto the graphic side, and I knew they didn't have, an essential, graphic designer that was just, on the team, so I started doing kind of, these little side projects for them, not really, them not asking anything. I was just I can do this, I can do that, just, kind of, I can, I'm down for it.
Yeah.
So, and then they kind of like gave me a chance after that. So I was bouncing between the floor and then graphic design. And then once, graphics started picking up a little bit more, they started opening up more locations and the workload got heavier. I just went full on graphics and never really looked back.
That's heat. Because I've heard the story a few times. People said that you had started at first with being a bud tender.
Yeah, exactly.
Was your initial proposal to be in graphics, and they said that you're gonna have to kind of work your way up the ranks in a sense, or was it just that?
No, at that point I just I was looking for a job at the time, and this place looks sick, like the whole lifestyle, the whole culture behind it. So that's why I came here essentially. And then after that, once we had like more of a marketing team, that's when I guess they wanted like to have more of a central graphic designer. So again, that's when I kind of just like was like, yo, like I can do this, like did X, Y, and Z. And then after that was when I was like, okay, this could actually be something. And then after that, the rest was history.
Do you feel like it was important for them to have you prove yourself? I
think it was just nice for me, honestly, to be able to prove myself, to see like what I could do for like more of like the corporate setting, and just like show my skills off of what I could do in school and just like what I've actually learned. So that was honestly more of like a test for me, I want to say, of just like, I guess, proving what I could actually do. Yeah. And then without direction as well too. And then
I think there's something notable to be said about it's almost like growing up with the corporation. It's like there's a vested interest in both ways. Like obviously you are looking for a job, you're looking for a position, but you want to grow in a certain career path.
Exactly, 100%.
They may be looking for people to help build this, or organization that they're creating essentially. And since there's kind of an exchange in efforts in that sense where you're having, or not you're having to, but you're wanting to prove yourself. Obviously wanting to put the work in, being willing to be a bud tender, but
I was here too when it was like literally just one store. I think right now we're at 6 or 7. I think 6, but either way, I was here when it was just the first store, so I was like, I knew there was potential to grow as well too, but again, nothing's ever promised in this world, so you never know. But I just wanted to see what I could do, and it all worked out in my favor. So.
Yeah, and it's even even from like the bird perspective too, they can say that, hey, no, Shy's been with us for this amount of time. We've crafted and helped develop his skill. He has this to prove for it. And look at us now. We earned success. For example, when was it that I think Matt might have even came over, and I looked at one of the packaging and I was like, yo, I took a picture of it. He's like, yo, did you make this?
I remember that. I can't remember what it was.
It was the Toronto one.
Yeah, okay, that's right. The Toronto packaging, that's right. But it's been cool to start from like, as one store, when it's like they already have the aesthetic, they have like the lifestyle, they have the culture, but then to be able to like build on top of that was like, it was cool to see where I could do that. And within almost 4 years I've been here, it's been a good journey.
So in terms of like the artistic direction of like where Burb is headed, as far as you can say, because I know, it's always been like a Western company, I guess.
Kind of like more West Coast. Like they really try to stick to like the BC roots, I want to say, like British Columbia. So is there a store in California yet, or no? We have products down there though, in like a bunch of stores. I don't know how many to be exact, but I know there's probably over like 15 stores that we're in LA. We're in Ontario as well too. We have Strange dropping down there, and then that's about it, honestly. But it's been a cool journey to see us from like just strictly in Canada and BC to being able to branch out to Ontario with their own products, and then in LA as well too, and getting like marketing stuff down there. And it's been cool, honestly.
With it being in California in particular, I know that for example, I was watching it was Tyler the Creator. He was talking on a panel essentially. It was a panel, I think, sponsored by Converse or something of that sort. I don't know if you had seen that one, but essentially he was saying people that hadn't started yet, like just basically saying like, what's stopping you from starting, go ahead. And then he gets into further conversation about when they were first starting and they were making clothing because it was, kind of lighter clothing material. People were saying that it was cheaper, but he was saying not necessarily. We're in California, why would we be wearing thicker hoodies?
Exactly.
Our hoodies are built for kind of the environment that we're in.
Exactly. And each brand has like their own kind of like, I guess they'll design it how they want and like the market that they want to market it to as well too. But yeah, I've always been more of like heavyweight. I'm like, yeah, heavyweight tees, heavyweight hoodies. I just love like, I don't know. I just love the feeling, honestly, for myself. So
with because we like even with the team, we've like constantly talked about your hoodies, like how great quality they are.
Yeah.
Because we feel, you know, say the V1 to the one that it is now. For Burb, I don't know if you have a hand more so in kind of the apparel side of things, but what's the direction with that one in terms of, you know, say the apparel? Like, is it more going to stick to, I would say it's lighter except for some of the other coats.
Yeah, theirs is like more light, but they like to stick to like the quality as well too as the whole thing. So they kind of like to mix the two. Some hoodies are more overweight, but it really just depends on the season that we're dropping and just like, yeah, what we're trying to do with it. But yeah, the whole design side, they had, when I came on, they already had like their first collection drop. And then after that is when I kind of started to do the apparel as well too. So yeah, that was the part I was really stoked on, because it's not just like some regular like clothing brand type of thing. They more tap into like the streetwear and just like the actual culture behind it, the sick graphics, sick logo. So yeah, that's why I was super stoked to work on that as well.
And so that being the apparel, what about the packaging? Are you more so in charge of just the packaging side of things?
I would say anything graphic related. Anything you see a logo on or like a graphic or anything is like usually like I've like been involved in that process of getting it done.
And what about in terms of that, what can we maybe see in the future? Is it going to kind of stay in the same I'd say it keeps like a very neutral tone with the graphic on the front. Yeah. Is that kind of the...
I think we always tend to go like less is more. Like we'll usually have just like more small logos. We'll sometimes have like one-off projects where, we'll do big graphics, and then that would be like the collab I did with them with my brand actually. We've had 2 collabs now, and those ones is when we kind of like did the larger graphics. Yeah. But other than that, they're just like more neutral, just like hazel, black, white, gray. And then, that's, like I said, simple as more kind of aspect as well. So.
So I guess moving away from Burb, some of the other projects that you kind of worked on, I know you mentioned with KRISTODOTCOM, particularly cold drinks, you kind of had a hand in some of the design in that. Yeah. Maybe talk a little bit about that, or maybe some other projects that you've worked on.
Yeah, 100%. So with KRISTODOTCOM specifically, he has his cold drinks. He has his cold drinks brand. I was helping him do posters with that, and then I was helping him for probably like, I want to say like almost like 2 years, honestly. But this was like when he just started it up, and I remember when he didn't even have a name for it, we were like brainstorming names together actually, and then he landed on cold drink, and I was like, that has to be it. I was like, that one was just hitting, honestly.
I think we all linked up one time.
Yeah, exactly.
That was after cold drinks was already kind of going. But
yeah, exactly. I remember that time we linked up though, actually. I do remember that.
Yeah.
But he's definitely come a long way, and like, I'm stoked to see everything that he's doing. I hope he does real well with his brand, which it seems like he is, honestly. So yeah. But just being with like the graphic side, I haven't done posters in quite a while, honestly, just because I'm doing freelance projects on the side now as well too. So I'm working for like 2 other companies as well too, while working at Burb, while trying to manage my brand and just like managing life in general. So it's like there's a lot going on. So
I feel that.
It was really like this year and last year where I was like, I can't keep saying like yes to everything as much as I want to. It's like I really just gotta like be more pick and choosy of just like more of like what I actually want to do and just like what's gonna help me, I guess, just like prosper myself and push me forward, and like I said, help me deal with my life as well too. So
I guess talk about that because we find that quite frequently, you know, you have to start to get to the level where you want to get to. Unfortunately, it requires having the ability to say no to certain things.
100%.
To certain projects maybe that you can't fit into your schedule without it completely exhausting you, without you losing sleep trying to fit one more thing into work. Talk about that. Like, when did you find that you hit that point?
Probably during like COVID, I want to say, honestly. That's when I was just like deep evaluation on life. Like there's nothing else to really do. You're just like chilling by your ones, and that's about it, honestly. I was just like really just like analyzing everything, and I was just like, I'm just like just working, and like I have no time to myself. Like on weekends I'm still working, weekdays I'm working. It's just like, you get to that point where you're just burnt out, and it's like you can't keep going type of thing. So like I said, as much as I wanted to say yes to all these opportunities or whatever, it's like you really just gotta like cold cut it where you think is right, and just like Because sometimes in the moment, it's, you might think it's a good idea to take it on. Then like a couple days after, you're like, oh, like I should have never did this. Like, so.
I feel those ones.
Yeah, exactly.
But in all honesty, it's a blessing to even be able to do that, to be able to say no to certain things because you're being blessed with so many opportunities from so many places. So, you know, the fact that we're able to kind of get to places where we can even be able to do that, I guess, in a sense,
100%.
You kind of have to give hats off to that in itself, but it's a representation of the hard work, I guess, that we put in.
Yeah, exactly. It's true, man. It's true. I'm like, you got to say no every now and then, man. You can't say yes, like, fuck.
Facts. Talk about what you see for yourself. Like when all is said and done, when you look back at your life, in terms of the different things that you accomplished and the different things that you've done, what do you kind of hope? Is there anything in particular? Like, are you hoping to maybe be the head of a design house or establish your own design house and have it go on to be something that's greater?
I think my goal essentially, like back end, is have my brand. Like, I have like a lot of stuff in the background that not a whole lot of people be knowing about, honestly, but either way, I want to have my brand as still kind of like my side hobby. I want to have a different main for like my money income.
Okay.
But yeah, the brand I want to always have there. Eventually I want to be able to get a warehouse for it. I want to be able to get people working inside the warehouse, whether it be like my homies or people I just hire in general. And then, at that point, I want to just be able to have drops to the point where they're just like selling out within like 30 seconds to a minute type of thing. Or, just have enough stock to be able to sell it within like I said, like 5 minutes or whatever. But I would say that's like the main goal of mine, honestly. Yeah.
And if you were to do that, would you see it being based somewhere here or would you maybe see it somewhere else?
I think most likely based somewhere else. As much as I love Vancouver, like I feel like I'll always have like somewhere I'm living down here, like whatever. Like I'll always have love for Van, but I feel like in the future, like I don't think I would be living down here, honestly.
Yeah. Do you still have a family that stay here? Like if you were to go, would you still kind of come back? Because I do have friends that like their parents are here, but if it wasn't for that, they probably wouldn't come back.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely would come back. Like Vancouver's my home, man. Poco's like home base, like I said. Like as much people, I mean, Port Coquitlam, there's not a whole lot going on, but like I'm a homebody. I like quiet spaces. Port Coquitlam's like perfect for me, man. Like I love it, honestly, man. I love it. So.
Gotta leave the nest at some point, especially when it comes to business.
Exactly, man. Exactly. So.
No, this was dope. This is dope. I know it's getting to know you. I'm sure I've learned a lot of things today. I know a lot of people have also maybe have known you at some point. Have maybe learned a couple of things. Maybe heard a whole bunch of stuff that they probably already known. I think your story is very interesting because it's the story of somebody that is creating something for themselves, at the same time creating something for a corporation that is it's. You look at it and it's defined by the design, the aesthetic.
Exactly.
And you have to kind of give the credit where it's due to those individuals, I feel like.
100%. I appreciate that, man, for real. Like, I appreciate everything you're saying. So.
So I hope this isn't the last time that we get together, especially with these For The Records. To begin with, we kind of get the first ones out the way, but of course we'll circle back around.
100%, man. Anytime, man. Anytime I'll be here, I'll be here.
Most definitely. Thanks to Burb again for inviting us into their space, allowing us to shoot here. This amazing set. We'll get a whole bunch of B-roll of the space here because honestly, it's one that if you haven't been to a Burb store, I really recommend it. Even just for looking at the store in itself. Even in that section there, you're looking at a clothing store as well as a cannabis
that's what most
store.
people think when they first walk in. If you haven't been here, they'll literally say they thought it was a clothing store until you walk around the corner and you see everything else. But the cannabis store is a lot different than the other ones out there. I would say had a whole different aesthetic. So
and like I said, credit to you and your colleagues. So
on.
Thanks again for everybody watching today for another episode of For The Record. Of course, my name is KRISTODOTCOM here with Shylow Stoops. Appreciate you coming in today.
I appreciate you having me, man. Shout out Christo, shout out Burb for the space, shout out Matthew, shout out Braden for the photos.
100%.
Shout out the whole team. But I'm stoked for this, man. I'm happy you had me. So hopefully it won't be the last time.
Watch more of our other content by scrolling down, clicking some other videos. Of course, watch the Crooksy one that just went up, a good homie of ours. And we're going to catch y'all next time.
Let's go.
Deuces.